Well, holy goddamn, boys. It's one of those challenges that's so full of bullshit. I'm going to be playing this to you at 2 times speed, and this video is still going to be like 22 minutes long. Now, I tried at first to make this video 4 times speed instead, but I realized that it basically makes the gameplay incomprehensible, so you're going to be stuck here with me for the next 20 minutes or so. Hey, where are you going? You know, I really gotta hand it to Zlongames here. Do they just have like a specific team of people who work on fresh new ways to annoy the shit out of the player base? Is this some kind of weird experiment that we weren't aware that we signed up for? Okay, I guess I should actually talk about the map now. So on this map, single target attacks are completely ineffective. They take something like 300% reduced damage in combat. And can I just say real quick that this buff does not appear until after you start the map. So the first time you do this map, you're going to run in with like a standard team. You know, you're going to read the enemy skills and you're going to be like, oh, okay, this is like a boss fight against a number of heroes. And then you start the map and they just get a buff that says they're invincible to normal attacks. And then you're just like, oh, I have to immediately start the map over because the units I brought are useless. Anyway, because of this, obviously the intent here is for you to either use lots of AoE characters or use fixed damage characters, and quote, helping, unquote, you in this task will be a huge legion of goblins spawning every turn, just like the gold map. Well, this is the gold map, I guess. These goblins are pretty easy to kill with a couple of AoEs, or alternatively you can just let them attack you and then they will explode immediately afterwards. The explosion itself doesn't do that much damage, but it also does fixed damage afterwards. So really, when you get down to it, the objective of this map is quite simple. You need to kill all the enemy heroes, and you just have to tank through all their attacks while you let the goblins blow up around you and kill them very, very slowly. So if you've already done this challenge, you probably know that most people brought Juggler into this fight, because the enemy units are also mostly AoE, so you just sort of sit there and let Juggler tank through all of it and heal up all your teammates while he's at it, and you just wait through a dozen turns or so of dozens and dozens of goblins exploding over and over until you finally get them all to die. The map really isn't that hard, it's just incredibly tedious because you have to sit there and watch the goblins explode one by one for a really, really long time. However, if you're like me and you want to torture yourself using only SR characters, well, you have come to the right place. Now, one of my biggest problems here is that I do not have Lifany trained and I don't have Altina trained either. Among the SR characters, those two are probably good choices to take out a lot of the goblins and speed this up along a little bit. Varna is also a good choice. So you can see that I brought Matthew and Olivier. These two are very replaceable in this strategy. Matthew is mostly just here to faction buff, and I brought Sword Dance on him just in case I want him to speed it up along a little bit. And Olivier is a good DPS. However, my Olivier is very, very below average. He only has one class mastered, he does not have his attack bond. And I'm actually going to get him killed very soon into the fight. So I apologize for the screen ratio being kind of wonky and for this run being kind of sloppy, as you'll see in a minute. But I honestly had zero interest whatsoever in repeating this stage again after I had cleared it the first time using SR units. Anyway, the other 4 units I feel are all quite essential to this strategy. So first you got the MVP here, who is Freya. Freya is obviously going to be tanking here, and also by equipping her Consecration skill, she can offer a function similar to Juggler. Consecration can heal up your party in between the volleys of AoEs that are going to come from the enemy heroes, and I'm pretty sure it's not actually possible to get your units so beefy that you'll be able to eat multiple AoEs from these guys and survive. So you're going to need a combination of both healing or just backing off so that you don't eat multiple AoEs in the same turn, which is what you're going to see me doing a little bit. Now, thankfully, most of the enemy units here do not have the ability to spam their AoEs over and over. They will have them on cooldown. And the other thing is that the game orders the turn priority in this game in a very strange way. Oftentimes, they will have a hero cast an AoE spell, and then a bunch of the goblins will move. The goblins, of course, will single target Freya, or single target someone Freya is guarding, in which case she has a chance to activate her Consecration skill. Now, Consecration is only a 30% activation, so there is some RNG involved here, but because I'm engaging with so many goblins in succession, it's going to take a miraculous stroke of bad luck to actually die to multiple enemy AoEs. So for the most part, everyone can just sort of huddle around Freya and then just hope the bad guys go away eventually. However, it is worth noting that because Freya's 2 guards are separate, it can make things kind of awkward, and you're going to see me make some mistakes later on where I put some units outside guard range because I feel like they could take it when they couldn't. I mean, these are mistakes I really shouldn't have been making, but this map goes on for so long that your brain starts to melt. Anyway, I think the big threat to Freya herself actually comes in the form of Angelina near the beginning. Her attack is actually fairly high, so she can hit Freya pretty hard if you allow her soldiers to fall. You do want to lean into her phalanx a lot here. But beyond that, tanking multiple goblins in a row should not be any trouble whatsoever for her as long as you bring Sophia along. And regenerate, of course, is why Sophia is pretty much required for this map. You can obviously bring Anna to regenerate as well if you really want to, but I am fairly sure that most people have Sophia built over Anna. And of course, Sophia also provides her massive defense buff and her omni-faction buff, or semi-faction buff at least, which will be very, very valuable on this map. Because unless you somehow stick to a complete origin team, you're going to be bringing mostly a ragtag group of different faction characters. Next we got Chris. Really the most important thing about Chris is that, aside from also being able to heal a little bit, she can do Retribution, which does a bit of AoE damage, which speeds things up a slight bit. But most importantly, she brings Mass Protect. You don't want Liphany to acid burn you. If Liphany acid burns you, then you're just going to die. Now, of course, the aforementioned Anna also has Mass Protect, but again, who the hell has Anna trained? And finally, we got Almeida. I will say, I'll probably take back saying that Almeida is required here. Almeida isn't absolutely required. I think you could probably replace Almeida with basically any healer. Obviously, as far as SR goes, you want another healer that can do mass heal, so of course Close, Iris, they would all work. Close, of course, also provides AoE attacks like Almeida does, in the form of Starglow and Blizzard. So Close is not a bad choice here either, but, obviously I stick to Almeida because she is the character that everybody has. And of course Almeida can throw out the occasional AoE to speed things up a little bit. Like I said, the two members, Matthew and Olivier, are pretty replaceable here with basically any AoE attacker that you want to bring. The last thing to add about the party members I brought is their accessories. You can bring just about whatever equipment you want, I think. Well, you probably should bring Sophia's special equipment and Freya's special helm as well. That will make things go faster. But most importantly, you want to bring a bunch of fixed damage immunity to this fight. The Goblin's fixed damage is very low, but it does add up. And you really don't want to have your squishy units being worn down by the stupid fixed damage, so obviously you can just equip Med Ring on a bunch of people. You can see that I equipped Swordsmith Metal on both Sophia and Freya here, but honestly they could also be wearing Meditation Ring and it really wouldn't matter, because there's no silences flying around in this fight, so silence is not a concern. The only thing Swordsmith Metal would offer is just some extra stats. So let's talk about the enemies now. Like I said, Angelina is actually surprisingly threatening at the start of this map, so that's why I decided to just surround Angelina and try to get her killed as fast as possible, because not only does she activate Lonely Moon all the time, which allows her to act twice very often, she also has her 3-cost skill, which means she's just going to push you around, stun you, and it's just not something you want to deal with. As always, the AI in this game does not do AoEs if they can't find multiple targets to use it on. So once you're rid of Angelina, you've pretty much taken care of the only unit that could probably kill Freya. Freya has Iron Rose and decent magic defense, so she should be able to tank most of these mages single targeting her. So on that note, we have Hein and Liphany as enemies. There's nothing really noteworthy about them, they just use their AoEs when they're up. And of course Liphany, like I said, has acid burns. Angelica is also somewhat similar. She has Thunder Missile and Ice Missile, but she also has Dispel, which actually makes her very annoying, because it means she has the ability to make the fight drag on even longer than it already does. Which, Angelica, we already kind of hate you because we have to escort you all the time. You don't have to ruin this challenge too. Anyway, you got Serena as the enemy tank. She has Shield Bash and Ram, which is of course easily dealt with. You just need to have a Sage's Hat or Ygritte and then you're fine. So nothing whatsoever to worry about from Serena here. But I have saved the most dangerous for last, which is Shell Fenil. This enemy is essentially a 6-star Shell Fenil, so she is very annoying for a whole host of reasons. First off, Heaven's Sanction really hurts. And once she has Heaven's Sanction on cooldown, she'll just constantly spam Demolish over and over. This is annoying for a multitude of reasons. First off, the obvious, Demolish will just slowly damage you, and it's just a lot to upkeep with. And of course it also strips your buffs, so there's some RNG there. Now obviously Sophia with her special equipment here alleviates that a lot, so You know, it's not like usual where you get your faction buff stripped and, you know, you have to wait a really long time to get it back up again. Because Sophia can just cast a heal on Freya and put her defense buff and magic defense buff and everything back up, you know, you don't have to worry about the demolish being as effective. But obviously you need to pay very close attention to whether or not Shelfenil successfully dispels one of your 2-range guards, because, you know, obviously you don't want units to be lying around and getting sniped. But what's truly annoying about this is because Shelfenil is always casting AoEs, that means she is almost never going to be single target attacking into Freya. So by the time everybody else is dead, Shelfenil is almost certainly going to have a lot of her life bar left over, and that's exactly what you're going to see happen in this video. But yeah, I think I've pretty much said all there is to be said about this challenge. Like I said, this challenge is mechanically actually not that complicated. It's just that you have to sit there and watch these stupid goblins explode for like 45 minutes, and you'll feel your sanity slowly slipping away. But anyway, hopefully this video will be useful to you guys who haven't done this challenge yet, and if you haven't done the challenge yet, you better start now, because you might just take now until the end of the event to actually finish it, because of you'll still be looking at goblins exploding. Well, enjoy the rest of this video, and enjoy goblins blowing up for another 15 minutes or whatever. I'll see you guys in the next video.